historically, Christian nationalism is when a nation is explicitly Christian. So in our context, we're in the United States. So we're thinking United States Christian nationalism, but actually Christian nationalism can be in any country. It's on the rise in Europe as a continent, especially in particular countries in Europe. So it's not just in the United States. So that's the first kind of misconception I want to throw out there, that it's not just in the US. Of course, in our context, we're all in the United States, at least the three of us. And so we are talking about what we see here in the States, but that's not necessarily the case. It's Christian nationalism is what we're talking about, but there can be other identities taken on by countries that are not Christian. So it could take the route of other religions as well. So having kind of that idea as well is a good thing. When we're looking at the academic kind of definition of what Christian nationalism is, that's where there is a lack of definition between, division, I guess, between the country itself and the religion. So they're kind of so intertwined that they coexist. I think this is what a lot of people perceive. They want to have policies in place that are aligned with Scripture. Good now. Okay. This is why it's good to have like a live stream.
Yes, thank you all so much for letting us know. We really appreciate that.
Can you hear me now? Somebody else comment just so we can know.
It looks like yes.
All right, so I'm going to go back to the academic definition just in case you all missed it. The academic definition, remember, is there is a very close link between the religion, Christianity, and the nation. So those are so intertwined that they coexist. They're just together, right? I think that this is actually what a lot of people perceive when they're thinking of Christian nationalism. However, the third route is what people think of themselves when they call themselves Christian nationalists. It's not often that academic view. Personally, what they're doing is they're trying to influence policy to align with political policy, governmental policy, to align with what they read in Scripture and what is biblical. And so when we're looking at those three definitions, it's really important to ask somebody what they mean when they say those words, because it can bring up a lot of feelings and emotions. And one of the defenses that you might hear some people who claim to be Christian nationalists say is that they want to influence policy because this is what they believe is morally right. So that's a defense that you might hear them say. And so I just want you all to be aware of those particular definitions.
Lindsay, to clarify, when we see the intersection with the New Apostolic Reformation theology, which one is being connected with that?
Oh, well, I think it depends on who you're talking to. Again, okay. I think that there might not be a line there. It might lean closer to the academic definition, wanting to create what's called, this is where the word theocracy becomes kind of more prevalent, right? I should probably define theocracy. So theocracy is a type of government where the political authority is closely aligned with a particular religion. And so we're going to put, for example, Christian nationalists would want to put Christians in power, and then everything is ruled in a Christian lens. There are theocracies in the world. Iran is an example of a theocracy, for example. Vatican City is actually considered a theocracy under Catholicism. And so if you're just trying to think of like cities that you know or places that you know of, those are two examples of theocracies. And I think the more extreme version of Christian nationalism really promotes this idea of going back to what they perceive as the United States roots of being founded and this is a debate, so it's a debatable issue, but being founded as a Christian nation by Christian founders is kind of the language that a lot of people associated with Christian nationalism that wants to create a theocracy, kind of. They want to bring us back to what our foundation is, at least in their perspective. I think that's where we get the NAR, the NAR people, is really thinking like, we need to influence all of these sectors. And where people get a little bit nervous is when they hear the word theocracy.